Hi everybody, the Mature Simmer here. So, just after midnight, I've been waiting here, and you get to experience for the first time, I think this might be episode 10, so hey, at least we got to double digits. Something that happens every once in a while. I did work, I was yakking on and off, and realized when I was done, I didn't record a thing. So, probably in the early morning light, forgot some things. Was actually talking about in the beginning. Now it's been about an hour since I've been awake and so forth. So I'm better, I'm more alert. But I was like talking about, yeah, I'm making all these errors because it's early, so give me a break. And it was more just speaking errors. Like I couldn't get words out. I couldn't think of what word am I trying to use. So what you missed, first off, there's a truck here, there's a truck at the south. I've done some staging here. We're back on here with Schwagg. So he had told me 13 and 14 were going to be needed. When I got on here to stage things, the trucks were under the silo, and Schwagg was standing there, and I said, hey, you know, I'm just getting stuff ready, but they didn't respond. And I've been in here just waiting for it to change so that this was harvestable, because obviously the day before it was not. I'm actually a bit surprised that it is, but it could be because maybe this is the last day for SOY or whatever when you go, because the other thing I had noted, but you didn't hear it because it wasn't recorded, I ran out onto this field and I'm like, ooh, they don't have the growth stage thing that FSN, that mod, is loaded so that you can see you're on, say, 5 of 6 or whatever, and then you know. But my issue when I was looking at the map is this seemed less dark green than other fields, and so I thought that maybe they had miscalculated. So I've gone ahead and done the work with Nav. It's unfortunate you kind of missed a bit of that, although I guess there wasn't a lot of recording. I just talked about it, so I can still do it. Nav actually was there this morning, so I finally got to talk to them in-game for the first time ever. So that was cool. So more importantly, I got to get familiar and ask some questions with what they want me to do. So let me see here, because now per what I learned yesterday, I can change this and then go up to 14.3. So let me put the line on, and then I'm going to move this over. So I'm actually going to go backwards, because I can move this over and then get more of the field, and in essence then work less. So working less, always a good thing. It'll save the farmer some of the time, but more importantly, if and when Schwagg gets on and starts doing stuff here, like, I will then not have created a situation that they can't line up and we can't work together like I did a little bit yesterday, last night. So this is about 6 hours, not even, from when I finished the last episode, so got a little bit of shut-eye, but kind of normally this is when I'm getting going again. So I had talked about that I was going to line up with this road, and I was debating if I was going to continue and just go from 14 to 13. The problem is there's probably only a little bit. I mean, it's probably going to be 10 or 15 rows, so it's not terrible, but we'll see what this looks like. I don't know that I could get all the way from the north end of 14 to the south end of 13 without being full. Alright, this field is... I'm not... Alright, let me... Goodness gracious. Alright, if I pick this up, I should be able to go faster. So, I'm not really aligning with the field, it looks like. I was thinking it was moving a bit, but you know what I want to do? I'll probably do... Let me do what I normally do on what I was doing like in generational farming. I'm trying to line up with the road. So let me do that. Let me line up with the road so you can see this is my problem. I'm not lined up with the road. So if I go here and then do... No, that's not working. Alright. So I think this is my problem. So this, I think, is where snap terrain angle is killing me. There we go. That should work beautifully. Alright, now I gotta be careful because I'm definitely near the crop. But I got a fence over there that's gonna hang me up. But the little bit of wasted time, you know, I'm always trying to be efficient because I don't want someone to be paying me for work that, you know, because I'm just being a bit goofy. But I think this is one of those that's going to pay off pretty nicely. So obviously the road looks like it moves a little bit, but it's one thing to move a little bit, but I was like already halfway out of the row. So, that was almost really bad. Alright. So now what I want to do is, let's put it there. No, that's not going to work. Alright, well, so maybe the best laid plans, maybe I need to do what I was doing. So it looks like the road is a bit different, so maybe I just do what I've got and go from there, because I think I'm going to start to go off the field. Now, maybe not. Maybe this field moves a bit, because it looks like there's a bit of an angle. So we'll see, because I think I'm going to miss a little bit here because of what it stuck out. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's going to catch it. Cool. Alright, well, if I get lucky, it's just that. I got lucky. I'm not that good. I tried to be a little cocky yesterday when he was telling me about, you know, am I using the width, and the problem is I'm in feet, so everybody is giving me stuff in meters. I finally gave up and was like, you know what, I'm going to switch things, you know. Obviously I'll leave it in US dollars or whatever, but yeah, it looks like it shifted a bit now, so I think this will work. It's just a matter of when I get down there. I think I'm literally going to be in the half, but I'm moving along with the street. Going back to the work with nav, so first off, what did happen after the part I had recorded, so I'd be adding this anyway. He did actually already go ahead and pay me for 6 months, which is a couple more days further. I think today was my 5th month, so he's basically paid me for tomorrow too. But we have an agreement that I'm doing this for at least 2 years. But the funniest thing was, you know, he had gotten on, and I, of course, was like, "Morning, boss," and he then came back and told me good morning and, you know, called me farm saver. And I was like, well, what do you mean? How did I save the farm? And he's like, well, he's not done anything the last few days, but obviously with what I've been doing, I've been keeping the farm going, and that gives him profit and so forth. So that was why he felt I was the farm saver. So I told him he was very kind and so forth. But so he went ahead and paid me 6 months, and then basically for an hour extra of stuff. So I'm kind of looking at it as a bonus, because I haven't really done anything extra. I mean, other than I've asked him, like, hey, what about this, what about that? Like, you know, keeping the animals fed and so forth. Like, he had told me feed the cows, but he hadn't told me anything about the pigs. So a few days ago I asked him, he gave me the information. I think I included that in one of the episodes where I had learned that. But, you know, I don't feel I've really done anything extra. But, you know, hey, if someone wants to send me a little extra money, that's great. He's going to have some crop stuff in the future. I'm not sure how it's going to line up with all the stuff I've got going on with Lomeric. And obviously, again, Lomeric's got a little bit more happening, so I want to be careful about what I focus on and then jeopardizing something else. Alright, so a little bit of a bump there, so I'm going to want to go back and catch that, because the field did some little bit of unevenness, but hey, that's the nature of farm fields, right? So I think I would say that gives the map a little bit of character that makes it less computer generated, and hey, I drew this on my CAD system and made the fields perfect. So I think that's a good thing. Alright, I think this might work. I was just worried it was gonna swing around and miss some, but it appears to be good. So overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the line the way it's sat. Definitely gonna go ahead and empty here, and it's still up for debate, because obviously I went across the whole field up at the top about whether I could go all the way to the south end of 13, because if I can, obviously that would be nice, but if I can't, I'm going to be in a really crappy position. So I just don't know that I want to try it, because obviously going across the field, I didn't really pay attention to how much, what percentage that gave me. But in any event, at this point, I'm certainly not going to make it up again to the truck I have up top. So we're going to go ahead and empty here. But my point is, like with that copse of trees and so forth, and then the trees over there, like there's only certain places I can go where I'm going to have the ability to continue across. But it's still probably a pretty good chunk, so I'll have to see. You know, and obviously now I'm going to be a little bit better. I mean, these are going to be shorter runs because here I've got the trees for a little bit. But at this point, I'm just going to start chop, chop, chop here on this side. That is the technical farming term, chop, chop, chop. So, you know, I'm gonna be doing that. But, you know, there's not other work I've gotten. I think I briefly glanced at contracts, player contracts, just, you know, because obviously you want to see if there's stuff there you can do that might be of more interest. But, you know, at the end of the day, harvest is harvest. And I'm not sure that there was anything. Obviously, there's nothing that sticks in my mind, and I'm here. So, you know, and some of why I was here, though, to be honest, is I had told the guy, sure, I'll be able to help some. You know, I didn't give any commitments beyond that, because I do like having the flexibility if I decide I want to do something else, whether it's other farming simulator stuff or something else, that I can do that. So, because there's definitely things that I am starting to miss that I haven't done. I haven't done any PGA Tour stuff in probably over a week at this point. I got my iRacing stuff to get done for the week, and, you know, we're running out of days for that, where suddenly I have a week that I don't get credit for against earning my my credit for the quarter, so that whenever I buy anything for the next season, I get, you know, my $10 discount max that iRacing gives you, and so forth. So there's things calling to me, but I think I'll be able to do a lot, if not all of this work, and still have some time to do that over the next few days, if nothing else. So, but given all the time I've been in, I keep waiting for that wall to hit, and that's partially why I like what I'm doing. I mean, the farmhand is a little less flexible, I suppose. It's more like a job, but obviously if I'm a contractor like I am here, it's kind of work when I want to work. I mean, think of it as the gig economy that we're living in, or whatever. You know, if I played around and did food delivery apps turned out more during the pandemic. I didn't do it intentionally during the pandemic because I started it in February of 2020, and then 2 weeks later we were locked down. So I wasn't that brilliant or whatever, or didn't start because, hey, I didn't have anything else to do. Like, I kept my job through the pandemic, still in the same role that I was in pre-pandemic now. So all of that's a blessing. It's been great. But it was part of my personal financial research is, with the plan we have to try to retire early and live, not super frugally, but frugally enough that there's not a lot of extra cushion for things. The folks who have done that and who are out there, like, there's always that feedback that people have given of, there might be some years, especially if the market is down, so you may be doing nothing. It's not that, hey, my spending has increased or I've got this thing I want to do this year, but to, keep within your safe withdrawal rate, suddenly they're like, well, I need to make $5,000 or $10,000 this year. So it was an experiment to see if I needed to make $10,000, which actually I think if I needed to make $5,000. So I basically kind of rounded it up and said, all right, I need to make $500 a month. Can I do that? Or $100, or, can I make $100 a week, basically? Because that would give me $5,200. How hard would that be? And so that's what the experiment started out as. But I kind of was able to work when I wanted to work. Well, not kind of. I mean, that's how it works. Some of them, however, like Grubhub, you're signing up for a shift. If you then back out of that shift, there are penalties. So it's not entirely that. So you could think of Grubhub as kind of the farmhand version of delivery apps, and DoorDash is more the contractor version, where DoorDash was very much you just sign in and you wait for orders, and then when you're done, you just don't accept the next order and you just turn off the app. Where with Grubhub, it was like, I'm taking this 2-hour window, and as you got better rated and your performance was better, so you had good performance, you had done X number of orders or days, before that. I forget what it was, but basically I think you had to have like 2 weeks where you met their criteria, and then that got you to the highest level where basically you could get in, I think, a day, might have even been 2 days ahead of the folks who hadn't done anything to be special, and claim shift times. So it kind of let you pick the premium times, and you weren't looking at something where all those premium people had come in ahead of you. So let's see, 57. In theory, you know what? I'm going to save myself the headache. It's 57%. Obviously, I'm not going to make it down. So I'm going to bring the truck over, and I'm just going to empty there. So here we go. And that's the point of having one at one end, one at the other. So I've answered my question. I cannot get all the way through field 13 and 14 in one pass, because this is already 57%. Once I start doing something else, it's just going to get worse. I add that little bit to the field, and suddenly we're going to be like, yeah, no. So, again, very technical description is what I've got going on here. I'm going to free that up so I can turn and go around the truck, and then line back up, and then go. Alright, so there we go. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I was at 70% by the time I get up to the road. And obviously that doesn't leave a whole lot. And while field 13 is smaller, it's not that much smaller. So it removes that temptation and it makes it kind of simple. So, but the benefit is you have a truck on each end, so basically you run a line, empty, run a line, empty, run a line, empty, just keep moving the trucks over a little bit, and all should be well. So, the gig economy, contractors, this and that. So, the nice thing with this is if I am doing this for a time and suddenly I'm like, you know what, I'm just not enjoying this anymore, I can just sign off and be done and just tell them this is how many hours I worked and I get paid for that. So as opposed to running my own farm or anything else that has more of a specific commitment, and it's not like on Lomeric's farm that I've agreed like I will do 100% of the cotton harvest every time. There's still some of that similar flexibility, but what I don't have is if I just decide, I'm not feeling it, I don't want to do cotton this year at all, I'm just going to skip it. I mean, again, I don't think he's going to be draconian and say if you're not present for each critical, each big milestone for the season all the time, you're not really a good farmhand. But, because once again, I mean, I'm sure there will be times, I might get sick. I might just be like, hey, I'm taking a long weekend. I'm going to be gone for 3 days, and it happens to line up with cotton harvest. Again, I don't think anybody's that unreasonable. They know, it's a game and this and that. And, I think it would not matter because Lomeric has said, like, he's been running that farm on his own other than with help from the other people on his server when they had some time, most of the time. So to me, I think everyone I'm working for at this point, they're just viewing my assistance as a bonus that gives them a little bit more flexibility, similar to what Nav told me this morning. Like, I'm the farm saver because he was basically able to ignore his farm for 4 days is probably what it was, because as I said, I think today was the 5th day. And sometimes that's nice. I mean, we just went through the U.S. holiday, whatever, so it sounds like, maybe basically from the 4th of July on, a little bit before that, he just kind of was like, you know what, I'm just going to relax. I'm going to enjoy the holiday, and maybe he went somewhere, maybe he did whatever. But, so it gives you that, where otherwise in the game it wouldn't have really mattered. I mean, the animals don't die in FS22. Yeah, it takes a little bit of getting back, and obviously the biggest impact for Nav would have been the pigs, because if he's on this rotation that he has to sell pigs every day, if you're not there and your barn is full, obviously the pigs don't get born, and then you have months where when you are selling it in sequence, you don't have enough there. So, but it is what it is. And similarly, I think Lomeric was the same way. The only difference here, where I think there could be an impact, is I think he did talk about, like, he probably wouldn't have planted that field of oats that we planted if I wasn't there to help him, because, he knows that's extra a number of hours of some sort to do something. Because again, we're going to have to fertilize that field and so forth. And he hasn't specifically included any kind of stuff like that, fertilizing or weeding, in my work list. So I am assuming that he's handling those things. Because again, those usually go pretty quick, especially if you're using a sprayer for weeding, and if you can use it for fertilizing too, but most of the fertilizer spreaders are pretty big, and you're able to go at whatchamacallit, at a faster speed, so your work time is less. I guess, let me see. I want to hit that and get all of it. I did. There's nothing sticking out anymore. I didn't really pay attention to where I was at, but I'm assuming it was 57% or higher. Maybe it was a little bit less because I had dug into this row first before and then backed up, so it's possible that I had grabbed a little bit and then obviously I had dumped whatever I had grabbed into the truck when I went back. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead here. Alright, I'm just assuming this map has the crazy geese. They're, like, again, I play with a headset and a microphone, and it's just, they're in my ear as if they're, like, diving from behind. You know, I suddenly have gaggling geese, or whatever it is. I was going to say quacking geese, but I know that's not right. I know a gaggle of geese is a group of geese, so I don't know. Honking geese, that's it. Like, I know there's a word for it, but... So, but in any event, don't know that I have a lot more. Again, it's only been 4 or 5, 5 or 6 hours since I was with you last time, and I think I made that into a marathon. And we did some soybeans, we did a bunch of sunflowers, and so forth. So I don't have a lot to say and talk about this morning. Then I will go ahead and sign off for this episode. So we're going to wrap it up here. So I will see you next time.